You are Locked On Coogs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Parker Ainsworth, Locked On Coogs here. And one question I think you got to ask in pro sports at the end of preseason games, but in college sports at the end of these games against FCS type opponents that you're supposed to win, did you get what you need out of it? Do you walk away as a Houston Cougar fan, supporter? Do you feel like you got what you need from that performance? Now, the offense was super vanilla. And I will, again, reiterate, they played this thing and all. It looked like a preseason game. You rotated running backs a lot, but you were missing Rashawn Sanford. Who knows what things look like with his wiggle there in the backfield. He's got a lot of juice that could have used, right? Offensive play calling was very vanilla. And they do typically say that in college football, the biggest jump is between weeks 1 and 2, because now they go to the film room tomorrow on Friday. They might get Friday off, actually. We'll see what they say online about it. But go to the film room for the next practice. You've got game footage to break down, right? That's a big advantage in the growth and development of a football team, right? Now, with how vanilla they were and how little they put out there, Houston might really hit that growth spurt of sorts between weeks 2 and 3, Rice and Colorado. We'll see, right? But ultimately, what you're seeing here is Houston's got something to build on, something to work off of, and what felt like a preseason game on offense, right? Not pretty, a lot of mistakes, and not even mistakes that necessarily always jump out on the football field. I see here in the chat here, a couple of different people. James Clancy asked about Gazelle. I said it earlier, but we have not seen anything yet. He was walking around fine, had the brace on, was walking around fine, and ultimately, I'd imagine they're going to be pretty tight-lipped about that until they get to a Big 12 game and have to tell us more. Jeffrey is not optimistic about tonight's game. See, first game issue to be worked out, but lots of struggle with the offensive line, bad offensive line technique. He continues standing up straight up, not playing the leverage, going to get killed by competent defenses. And then Yash comes in, follows in after that. He's not too worried about the offensive line. 4 new guys from positions, offensive zero chemistry together. They do need time. I will say one thing that stuck out that Jeffrey's correct about is the offensive line certainly looks a lot taller. Now, part of that is because they actually are taller, right? Evaselli, left tackle, 6'6", right tackle Dalton Merriman is legitimately 6'9" without his shoes on. Like, that is just going to look taller. But also, there were plays I thought Dalton Merriman made at right tackle. He also got beat twice where he looked like he was not able to do the job at right tackle. Just 2 plays, but was 2 plays against an FCS opponent. So we'll see where things go. I'm sure film will be rough for him on those 2 plays. We'll see where the growth development goes with Iman Yagabi running it. I lean more into what Yash said here. Yash, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, but 4 new guys that had to play together. And there are also plays where Pancake Hunter was not in the game, and you actually had 5 new guys out there because they're kind of rotating there for a second. New offensive coordinator, new snap count and cadence. You saw that play into a couple things too. Offensive line did not look perfect. Not going to act like they did. I'm not trying to act like they did. But I don't know that I necessarily, I wanted perfection. I'm not going to lie to you, but I don't know that I necessarily expected it either. And it might not have been quite where I expected it to be. But on the whole, I don't know that as a group they were horribly off target, right? Maybe not a bullseye, but not horribly off target. Were the SFA DBs good or the Coogs receivers just not that good? I honestly think that we saw a couple things here. One, they did not blitz a whole lot or send a whole lot. They were way more concerned about dropping guys into coverage, and they were kind of clouding a lot of stuff up. And so, frankly, I feel like they had a lot of guys in coverage for the 4 people Houston had running routes. And then I also think, for what it's worth, that is an FCS playoff team. I don't want to make them have to be like not good or whatever. But the same when we talk about chemistry, the offensive line, a high-level offense will have the same kind of chemistry between the quarterback and receivers. They'll be saying, hey, I saw cover 2, so I did this. Oh, I saw cover 2 here, but I thought you were going to do that because, or whatever, right? I thought you were going to break it off. Those kinds of things are also chemistry, first time with live bullets, so to figuratively speak. And so I think that's how that goes. Other people came in here with offense, came with a vanilla game plan. Don't want to show too much at the beginning of the season. I wonder if they do the same against Rice. That'll probably be a topic in next week's show. Spoiler alert. So we'll see how that goes. Yash with the Yash. Yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I appreciate you tuning in, and I want to give you the respect. Everyone deserves to have their name pronounced correctly, even if I am not so great at it myself. So, Yash, thank you. Call me a hopeless optimistic, especially after having suffered through Bradbury's offense. But it seemed like UH played 75% just to get reps in and hammer things out. I think that's the case. I do think that if you ask Slade Nagel, offensive coordinator, in an honest moment, hey, what was your game plan like? He'd say, I wanted to see this. I wanted to see that. When they play Colorado, it'll be, I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. And that's a subtle difference, but I think it's a really important difference in approaching a football game, right? These kinds of games, look, I'm Corey Hogue told us all about how good Stephen F. Austin was relative to FCS opponents. I think they got a pro receiver. The guy on TV, Pete Souza, who is a really nice guy for what it's worth, but I think he's more of a basketball guy. Pete said that he thought they had a pro defensive back. I get it. If Houston had even played a close game tonight, we would be acting like the world's on fire, right? Like that's the kind of opponent it was. And so I do think they approached it as a practice, as a preseason game, as a work it through game. And frankly, that's the advantage of it, right? Is Houston has not played this type of FCS. They haven't played an FCS opponent since 2019. When they win the American, they spent a lot of their non-conference games playing Power 4 teams to kind of honestly earn their worth and be ready for the next potential realignment. And then they got that, right? They played UNLV last year before the quarterback quit on them, before the coaching staff changed over, and that it was a pretty good football team. They played Oklahoma last year, right? They played Oklahoma closer than Alabama did last year, for what it's worth. They haven't had these kinds of games in a while. And frankly, even in the 20 teens, they didn't have a lot of them. I think as fans, we're like trying to gauge what to take from this. And so did I get what I need out of this game? Honestly, I'd say like 85% of it. Yeah. I'd love to see Kobe Young connect on a touchdown or two, or at least a deep shot, because I think that's the thing we're expecting and anticipating and know he can do. And that's a part of this offense that we didn't see tonight. I would like to see Boogie catch a screen or two. Honestly, in the passing game, as much as Tanner Gazelle was a big deal, they completed 16 passes. Gazelle caught 8. But of the 16, you had 2 to Dean Connors out of the backfield, 1 to Jamarian Burnett out of the backfield, and 2 to Mekhi Muse that were the little glorified reverses. Right? Like they didn't hit a lot of passes, generally speaking, let alone to the deep guys, to Stephon Boogie Johnson, to Mekhi Muse, whatever, right? And so I think that that's a totally warranted problem to have. Now, do I think part of that's because they only completed 16 passes? They only threw, 24 of them. And honestly, they were getting 4 yards a pop running the ball. And why push it? Why push your luck? Sure, right? I totally understand that. Once you get up by a bunch of points, you're not going to do anything. I did say throughout the week, though, and I will reiterate again, I do think there was a value in pushing the buttons on this one and going over the top and doing that over and over again and trying to get 50. And I do think there was value in that in this game, just from a showing that you can, because it's been a while since Houston could. And I think that's important for people to know. But this is frankly just a different way to go about it. Again, I saw about 80 to 85% of what I need. I think Connor's got a lot of room to grow, but a lot of tools in his pocket. He still runs it. We didn't mention in the opening segment, if Connor had ducked from hits and just tried to get the ball out of his hands and not get hit, it would have been very normal given his injury history, FCS opponent, the nature of the game, first game back from after getting injured last season. It would have been totally understandable. And instead, his fight or flight response was, let's run the face of the defense. Right? That's kudos to that kid, man. That dude's a football player. I understand that he had problems at A&M and he played hurt and it didn't look great and all that, but sometimes kids are just football players. And I thought on Thursday night, Connor Wegman looked like a football player. I thought Tanner Gazelle looked like a football player. Mari Thomas looked like a football player. Kentrell Webb looked like a football player. Other new names across the defense. Zelmar Vader, Eddie Walls, Lofo, the guys looked like football players, and I think that's refreshing in a lot of ways. And frankly, I know that's a really low bar, but it's a program that's had a couple of lean years, and if we're going to kind of push back against that, that's really really important. Last thing before I get out of here, I do feel like Rice is going to be a challenging opponent, but because of the nature of American Athletic Conference opponent that you feel pretty confident about, I think you could see some more vanilla-ish stuff against them. The interesting thing will be what they're doing against Colorado, right? We're watching the Big 12 across college football right now, do a number of different things. I guess Cincinnati's probably not going to beat Nebraska, although it was like 6-3 at half or something crazy. Oh, it's 3-point game, actually 5 minutes left, so maybe Cincinnati can pull that off. But like Oklahoma State, Tyler Martin, whatever, right? UCF was having troubles at Jacksonville State, but Houston didn't see them until much later. We'll see how those things finish up. But on the whole, you might not see a flavor besides vanilla until like week 5. And that's not a bad thing, but I think it's a thing you got to always understand as you're watching this team. Now, Colorado may prove me wrong and be worth playing a lot of other flavors, for lack of better metaphor. But we'll figure that out as we go. We'll be figuring things out here each and every day. This is going to be Friday's episode. Our buddy Michael Connor, who does Locked On all of the city of Houston, he did a postcast as well. He does the Astros. He does the Rockets. He's across all Houston channels. So he'll be in and out of this channel as well some. So he did another one. If you hadn't heard that yet, go check out what Mike says. He watches sports from that 350 or what is it, 10,000 foot angle, macro level, looking at things. So it's great to hear his perspective. Great to go check Michael out. We're doing Big 12 squads next week, and we're for Rice next week. Got some fun stuff on the docket in the very near future. And I'm working on getting some fun stuff in like the near immediate future. So we'll see how that goes. Locked On Coogs, proud member of the Locked On Podcast Network. And man, oh man, it feels good to be 1-0. It's been a minute since we were 1-0. Go freaking Coogs.